All right, friends, here we are again, another freeze-dried meal review, and today we're going to be diving into a mountain house. This is actually part of the Pro-Pak. This is the chicken and rice with red bell peppers, carrots, and celery. This is going to be a pretty interesting meal. I've not had this one before. Now, if you're not familiar, Mountain House does have a couple. They have a regular version of these meals, and then they have the Pro-Pak. Basically, the difference is the regular meals are more, multiple servings, and whereas the Pro-Paks are focused on a single serving, it's higher focused around calories as well as higher protein, and also, which they say right on the back here. So these Pro-Paks are made exact standards of the U.S. military for long-range cold weather patrols. So this thing is designed for some hardcore stuff. And actually, it's funny, you got best until January 2053. That's 30 years. Damn, I'm going to be 80 years old when this expires. Hell, I'm going to be ready to expire by that time. But anyway, if this is your first sort of review video like this that you're watching on the channel, let me get you up to speed as far as what to expect here. In a minute, I'm going to crack this thing open. I have some hot water already ready for this thing here. I'm going to share with you what I like, dislike. You may agree, you may not. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if you decide to go out there and pick up a Mountain House chicken and rice, with the exception from the taste bud standpoint, you're going to have a good idea as far as what your dollar is going to get you. So that said now, and actually, need I even say taste buds? Okay, let's go back to that for a moment here. Obviously, that's a very personal, what I like, you may not like, or hell, what I like, you may like, who knows? But either way, we're going to crack this thing open. I'm going to let you know what I think of this here. So we're going to start off with some of the basics here. From a package standpoint, hey, this thing looks like $1,000,000 here. 43 grams of protein in it, 650 calories. Now, as I mentioned a moment ago, this is a single serving. On the back on the nutritional facts, we have 24 grams of fat, 7 grams of saturated fat, 0 trans fats. We have 140 milligrams of cholesterol. The sodium, 1,660, so that's a little bit up there. Carbohydrates, 65 grams. Dietary fiber, 2 grams. Sugars, 3 grams. Protein, as I mentioned a moment ago, 43 grams, of course. Then we have some other items down there. Vitamin A, 15%. Calcium, 4%. Vitamin C, you're getting a little bit out of that, 4%. Iron, 10%. And what I'll do is I'll put a image on the screen here of the nutritional facts as well, in addition to the laundry list of ingredients that is in here. So now, if you've never had one of these freeze-dried meals here, they're all kind of relatively the same. They come in these bags that you're going to tear off from the top there. You have this kind of Velcro, not Velcro, but the seal underneath here that once you add the water, you can stir it up and you're going to cook it in this pouch here. Now, to start things off with this particular one here, you're going to open it up. You're going to discard the oxygen absorber that's inside. And in this particular meal here, you're going to add, they say carefully add, 1.5 cups or 12 liters or 355 milliliters of boiling water into this. Now, in this particular case, we are at 200 degrees, so we are certainly boiling there. We're going to wait 5 minutes, and then we're going to reseal it. Then we're going to wait an additional 4 minutes and stir, enjoy, and read out of the pouch or eat out of the pouch if your heart desires. So let's crack this thing open right here and see what we have. And usually, it's funny, before these things are hydrated, you don't get too much scent out of it, but you can actually smell that seasoning there. My nose is stuffed up a little bit, but that actually smells pretty good. And there's that oxygen absorber. Like what we do here, we're going to pour this out so we can all take a look at what we are working with here. A bunch of that rice right there. These are all the little chicken bits. Okay, we can see the carrot, peppers. Mountain House, just like Peak Refuel, usually doesn't skimp on the chunks here. These Pro-Paks here, they, of course, again, focus around military specs and so forth. You can see a lot of the green stuff in here, which is really nice. But again, as I'm kind of wafting or stirring this around here, I can actually smell this here, which is really nice. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the seasoning is going to be in this meal here. So, alrighty, with that said, I'm going to get this back into the pouch because I'm sure you can add water here and cook it in the bowl, as I say over and over again, but it'll probably require a lot more time and probably a little bit more heat. So we're going to put it back into the pouch. All right, so like as I say many times over, I'm going to generally pour just a little bit of water in here rather than dumping it all in at one go. And I'm going to start stirring it around. And what's funny is, I mentioned this, wow, that is really beginning to blossom up a bit there. But as I've mentioned numerous times, I really love cooking. And it's funny because I originally started carrying these ready-to-cook meals or these freeze-dried meals in my turtleback as a way of, in case of emergency, break glass. You get into camp late at night, too lazy to cook, just add some hot water, boil some hot water, get these things. But these meals started realizing were so darn good, and there's a lot of really amazing flavors with these things. And I mean, I kid you not, you try. Get in my belly! Some of them are pretty foul. And so, but I started eating more and more of these when I head out. And it's funny because when I go heading out, man, most of the time, I'm almost guaranteed I'm going to, or utilize at least 1 or 2 days, 1 or 2 meals rather, out of a weekend with these sort of things. I absolutely love them. So, all right. So it is looking a little bit soupy right now, and I suspect that is because that rice is going to be soaking up all that water there. So what we're going to do here is we are going to close this up. We're going to wait that 5 minutes. We're going to get that 5-minute timer going, and then we're going to, catch up here. We're going to crack this open, stir it up, and wait additional 4 minutes, and then, of course, that's where the fun begins.
5 minutes later.
All right. Let's move this right here. Let's crack this. Wow. Okay, we're at the 5-minute mark right now. It still looks, as you can see there, it's still a bit soupy, but definitely a lot of that rice has absorbed a bit of that water. So what we're going to do here is we're going to give this a good old-fashioned stir. Boy, you know, a lot of those veggies, the carrots, the various different peppers are really beginning, the colors are really beginning to pop out against the white rice and the chicken there. It smells good. It smells like a stew my mom used to make when we were kids. That smells pretty darn good. Okay, so per the instructions, we're going to set a timer for, hey Siri, set timer for 4 minutes. All right, so we have a timer set for 4 minutes. We're going to let that do its thing here for a few more minutes, and we're going to come back here. We're going to dive into this.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Boom. All righty, it is that time. It has now been a total of 9 minutes. This smells pretty darn good. I'm going to just stir this up just one. Yes, a little bit more here. All right. All right, I'm going to move my spoon right here. All right, folks. So let's pour this into, I realize as I'm pouring these things out, there's absolutely no grace in how I'm emptying out the stuff out of these bags here, or these pouches rather. But I'm going to make sure I get everything out because I'm extra hungry here today. Okay, so let's take a look at what we're working with here. Now that this has had an opportunity to soak up a lot of that water that we put in there, we have these decent sized chunks of carrots. Actually, there's quite a nice amount of, usually when you see them saying that it's including certain veggies and so forth, a lot of cases you never see the evidence that the veggies are actually in there, but there's clearly quite a bit of peppers in here, which is really nice to see there. The only ones I don't see are the green ones. We can see little hints down here. Not much. My son would be happy there. Any sort of color Actually, there's a big chunk right there. I take that back. That's a big chunk right there. But as we can see there, the texture looks really good. One of the last meals that we just reviewed, I was mentioning it felt like it looked like a glob, and that was the Peak Refuel beef stroganoff, which was a little bit thick, so it could have used about an eighth more water, or eighth cup more water, or a quarter cup even possibly. I would have sorted out maybe with an eighth cup next time. But this actually looks, yeah, now that we're digging around, we can see a lot more of that green in there. But this is looking pretty good. All right, it is the moment of truth. Time to dig into this and see how well it tastes or doesn't taste. But you know what? The more I smell this, I finally figured out what this reminds me of. Back in the day, my grandmother used to get these little pot pies, little chicken pot pies that were about, maybe about this big. I don't know if they still make them, but they had these little tins. You'd put them in the oven. I don't know how long they cooked, but they were, you had that 1/8 of kind of bread crust all over it and so forth. This is exactly what that smells like. Now, let's see what it tastes like. Okay. The chicken's a little chewy. Oddly enough, it does have the same texture as the chicken in those pot pies from back in the day. It's kind of like this spongy. I mean, it definitely tastes like chicken. It's real chicken. It just has this kind of spongy texture to it. Flavor-wise, again, it's not overpowering. You have that 1,660 milligrams of sodium in here. You really don't taste, it doesn't taste all that. It doesn't taste that salty. It's a perfect amount of water in here. I think the perfect amount. Again, the chicken's a little spongy, but for me, the flavor on this is actually pretty nice. It's a mild flavor. The Cholula is going to add enough flair to it that that's going to kick it up a notch there. But overall, this is, for the first time having this, when you think about how inexpensive rice is, when you also factor in the cost of these things here, half of you is like, okay, do I really want to spend that much for rice? It's actually pretty good. It has a really good flavor. For me, I think what's doing it in, I'm getting a little of that nostalgia of the pot pies that my grandmother used to pick up. This is pretty tasty though. Let's take a look at the scorecard for Mountain House Chicken and Rice Pro-Pak. All right, friends, and there you go. This has been a fun and, as cliche as it sounds, tasty review of the Mountain House Chicken and Rice Pro-Pak here. Now, if there's a particular meal or one of these freeze-dried meals that you'd like to see us test out, let me know in the comments down below. But friends, that is all I have here for you. So with that said, I'm going to be turning off these cameras. You get out there, stay healthy, and find your adventure.